And she has worked with Avon and Style Beyonce and Michelle Obama. She's a native New Yorker, and she actually just got back from Paris, and she's going to tell us a couple of stories about what she's been up to.
Okay, so it was funny actually. I was on the Eurostar last night going from Paris to London, and I got that Facebook flashback 11 years ago today. Usually I ignore those things when I'm pretty embarrassed about college time, but it was, funnily enough, it was a blurry picture of a building in Venice that I took while I was studying abroad on a weekend trip to Venice. I studied abroad in Milan, and a lot of people think because of my background in fashion, that's clearly why I chose Milan. It had zero to do with it. I'm from New York City. I knew I wanted to go to a city. I wanted to go to an Italian city, and I really wanted to immerse myself in the culture. I took Latin for about 11, 12 years, spoke Spanish, and thought I wanted to pick up Italian. And I had friends that studied in Rome, studied in Florence, and those places are incredible. Like, your morning commute, seeing the Colosseum, the best. But I felt that a lot of my friends there had the experience of an American student just in a bubble studying abroad, and I really wanted to be a part of the Italian culture, and I chose Milan for that reason, and I'm still so happy that I did. Another reason is that Milan's a hub in terms of travel, and I wanted to have those weekend trips. You know, I was in Venice for a weekend, Madrid, Rome, Bratislava, which is still one of my favorite cities to visit randomly. And so Milan was pretty much perfect for me, and I still defend it to this day. There are a lot of people that say, oh, it's a really ugly city, and I fiercely defend it, saying it's a secret city, it's not really for tourists. And so there's those secret gardens, and there's, oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. And there are all those secret gardens and amazing experience and that's what I remember about Milan to this day, like those dinner parties with my Italian friends, and that amazing experience. And I found that it obviously changed my life, but it set a bit of a pattern that it's a bit of a habit, I'd say, that why I'm currently pretty much living in Europe right now. Whenever I get a little bit complacent in life, I like to mix things up and go abroad, do something different. At that point in my life, I was in college. I went to a small liberal arts school in the Northeast, and yeah, things were pretty great. I was pretty comfortable, secure, and I wanted those different experiences, running out of money in a foreign country, not really knowing the language, dealing with foreign bureaucracy. That was the post office, that's always the worst, dealing with foreign post offices. And I needed to have experiences like that. Whenever I'm feeling a little comfortable, and I get bored with that kind of comfort. And it led to amazing experiences. That time I almost got engaged, or kind of did, in Rome, to a Spaniard that I met in Greece when he asked me to marry him on a family trip in front of the Trevi Fountain. And that's made me who I am today. I know I don't like over-the-top romance, and that I did that, and I'm done with it. That really is shown. So flash forward to a few years after college, and I took a lot of jobs in fashion, but I knew I wanted to travel. So I worked for Topshop for a bit because it was a UK company, and I wanted to be back and forth between here and the UK. Eventually got a little bit, I was working for Topshop for a little bit, and that right before I took that job, I got my first job out of college in the fashion industry and laid off. It was 2008, and the crash happened. And when I got laid off, I was figuring out what I wanted to do, and I remember literally crying on the phone with my friend saying, I just gotta get out of here. I was in back-to-back fashion jobs in New York, and I wasn't happy here. I was crying on the phone. So I took a job as an au pair in Italy, and that family became, they're my second family now. They lived in Milan, they were from Milan, and they had a beach house in Gallipoli. I was so immersed in the family that it felt really awkward taking money from them every week for just speaking English and being myself around the house. And yeah, I woke up on the beach every day in Gallipoli. We did day trips. I saw Albania from the Italian coast, did motorcycle trips along the coastline, went skinny dipping in Italian coves along the sea. It was pretty incredible. And that's when I came back and kind of got the job at Topshop in fashion, where I took over PR and celebrity styling, which led to my work with Beyonce and celebrities and eventually Michelle Obama. So for me, whenever my life becomes a little too stagnant, I find that I travel a lot, but I need to get out of the US for a bit. Then, flash forward a few years to last November. The election happened. I was in definitely a bit of a malaise as a travel blogger. Felt a little bit frivolous about blogging about travel, to tell you the truth, when it felt like so many more important issues were going on in our country at the time that needed attention. And it was something that I talked about at a previous travel conference that I was in. I realized I needed to encourage that cultural exchange that just felt like that it was being attacked and targeted at the moment. Still definitely worked myself out of malaise, but again, this spring I knew that I've been back and forth between here and the UK anyway, and I wanted to get out, have a little bit of fresh perspective. My mom mentioned that I told her I was going to London, she mentioned she was going to Paris, and so subletted my apartment, and that's where I've been for the last few months. I'm not the first Black American to leave the US and go to Paris. You know, there's James Baldwin, there's Josephine Baker, and for me, I'm not comparing myself to any of those people. And for me, it's very interesting seeing what's been going on, what's been going on the world stage from a European point of view. That now I'm sitting in cafes. I was just speaking to someone about this, or 2 days ago I was on a tube station away from the Parsons Green where that happened. Or my local cafe in Paris that was down the street from my apartment was where the Paris attacks happened. And being there and understanding the world climate, that you are definitely in a bubble in New York City and in this weird safety bubble that it's amazing, it's great, you take it for granted, but it was also a great feeling of being a little bit disconnected from the constant news cycle in the US, that in a sense it was bringing me down, and it wasn't really great for my mental health to be getting CNN updates every minute about Trump's latest Twitter attack. And so for me, whenever I study, and I consider that I'm in the middle of a study abroad right now, I'm going back to Europe on Saturday and going to be in Copenhagen, Djibouti with UNICEF, Oslo and London all before the end of this month. And I'm really excited for what's next, because for me, every time I take this little bit of a sojourn and study abroad, it means exciting new change in my life. And, yeah, that's why I've been studying abroad, because you need that fresh perspective, that change, and to mix things up in your life a little bit.